Thank you so much. Thank you for this invitation. It's a challenge, of course, and especially the challenge of 9 minutes. And let's see if I manage that. The idea here is that I wanted to talk briefly about then what all is in the title, no? Publishing, reproducibility, open and fair as well. How do I load this? This one, no. Ah, I got it. I don't know which one I do it, but so the question about reproducibility research is we have heard about this for a while already. We think about this as a tsunami because it became a big problem. Some people think it is a crisis, but we may not think that it is a crisis. The thing is, the issue here related to that is that science is done by human beings, no? And we all have biases. The more innocent and the more true that we want to be, there's always something that we can maybe that is hidden that we don't see. And this is the difficulty of doing reproducible research because of our cognitive biases that we can have when we publish and the pressure to publish. We all know about this. Now our careers depend on that. So the publication biases as well, where there's something that is called a drawer. You publish what is positive, novel, and beautiful, and we put in the drawer what is negative, the negative results, which usually are those that are also important for everybody else. No? And this is the difficulty that we have because we are pushed to publish what is nice and beautiful. And there's also something that we always forget as well, is there are many differences across disciplines. Of course, in life science, bioinformatics, we are much more advanced, but there are also differences in cultural, in countries as well, and how we are evaluated by publishing as well, and what reproducibility is, and also in institutions as well. Sometimes these are big differences, and we don't really see that blind spots that we have. So, but the thing is that the crisis, if it is a crisis or not, it's good because we became all aware of this issue, that reproducibility became then an issue in science. About open and fair, maybe everybody has heard about this, I guess everyone has, but what is in the FAIR acronym? FAIR about findability, accessibility, interoperability, and reusability. It's all related to the data that we produce when we do research. Data that we want to be open and accessible to everyone, then findable by everyone as well, and accessible in the same and reproducible in the interoperable in the sense that my data can be accessible, but it may be too difficult for someone else to retake it, different formats that we can have, how many steps that we can really do to reuse the data and reassess and try to replicate the same studies. The types of standards that we use, we talk about many, many different data standards everywhere. And the type of metadata also, metadata meaning what it is a cell line for me, maybe a different cell line for you. And metadata describes the data and the research that we have done. So metadata is a very important thing in open and fair. Unique identifiers as well. That set of data is unique and is the only one that you were talking about and not something else. The type of license that you can allocate to your data as well, so that others can know how to reuse. Data repositories, and so all this is related to how we can make our data, our research open and fair. And it's not so easy now. But the thing is that the publishers have a role in that as well. So it's a puzzle, or it's a 3 pieces puzzle where we have the researchers, the publishers, and the funders. And all these are part of the same puzzle. So when we talk about the 2 last slides that I'm going to have, 3, I think, is how publishers can promote and facilitate reproducibility, open and fair. Now, this is the main question. So preprints, something that we have all started to use, and we all as researchers know how it is. But then it comes as well the pre-registration and registry reports. Then it's something that we have less, that not many people use those. So it's before we even go and collect the data, before we even think about doing the research, we are going to then specify and publish already how we are going to do that. And the register reports are more as well, is even before also we publish, how peer review starts even before we are going to start the research. So which makes something more interesting also for the planned and no unplanned also, that can become also reproducible and also interesting in this as a research. So also what do we think about is how to access data, trustworthy repositories as well, so the publishers also can incite and promote the usage of those trustworthy repositories. Repositories that are going to be sustainable, no? Not only a database that we can reuse and is going to disappear in 1 or 2 years from now, but it's repositories that are going to stay in the long term. So this is something that publishers can promote as well. But it's not only about the data, but it's everything that is also related to data, no? Is how we can publish protocols as well. Also, we all know that it's a difficulty that in the papers we have space that is limited for the methodology. So we don't tell everything and all the details of the research that we have done, but we can make use also of repositories of protocols where we can just list and a completely explanation of all the methods that we have used. So something that can be used. Also as well, something that we talk more and more, and in reproducibility as well, is how to make software and code reproducible, so that what the research that we are going to do, the data is produced through the code that we are going to use, can be also accessible anyway. So something that can be used is like something like GitHub, GitLab, Zenodo, where we're going to publish as well all the work, the codes that we are using. Same for workflows as well. We have many tools going to be put together one after the other. So Workflow Hub, for example, could be one example of a trustworthy repository as well of workflows in this case. And then the types of metadata that we are going to have. So some standards in metadata like schemas and bioschemas, where we can define the metadata that we are using, and others can reuse the same as well. So we speak more or less the same language, no? And also plenty of them. Oh, in 1 minute. Gosh, okay. So I'm going to fair sharing for standards as well. Okay. So something else, checklists and guidelines. Many publishers have different guidelines and different standards. How this can be more accessible by everyone and more standardized as well is something that we can think about, no? Improved how that can be done for the authors, reviewers, and editors. Now I'm speaking now as an editor as well, as Francis as well. Plenty of times we have difficulties to find where the data is, where in those huge amounts of supplementary data we have, what is the metadata and the data in there. So it's an ocean of data as well. So promoting also how to make easier. And more opportunities as well to present negative results, to recognize the peer review of people, the work that people are doing, peer reviewing, publishing platforms for all the experimental outputs as well, maybe connecting all those, and maybe automatic machine systems to perform checks and give scores as well. So something that could help the work of authors and reviewers and editors. So conclusion, one slide. We can still do better, you see. One exercise that has been done some years ago when we had the COVID pandemic, many publishers at the time, 30 publishers, today there are 160 publishers have agreed to make all data published open and access and preprints ready, open and accessible as well. 1 year afterwards, we realized that not all the data were still accessible, not that they were not, and preprints were not so common. So there's some things that we can still do. And researchers, publishers, and funders are all this together in the same exercise. Done in 9 minutes? Okay. And my acknowledge for my colleagues in the PLOS journal, gang, of education in PLOS. Thank you so much.